So, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, sir. This is my report. So, John Watson was the first American psychologist to work with Pavlov's ideas. He too was initially involved in animal studies, then later became involved in human behavior research. An influential American psychologist and one of the founders of behaviorism, he is best known for his work on classical conditioning and the famous Little Albert experiment, which demonstrated how emotional responses could be conditioned in humans. His work had a significant impact on psychology and education. Also, he considered that humans are born with fear reflexes and the emotional reaction of love and rage. All other behavior is learned through stimulus response associations through conditioning. Next. Experiment on Albert is Watson applied classical conditioning. His experiment concerning Albert young child and white rat. So for Boris Frederick Skinner is like Pavlov, Watson and Thorndike Skinner believe in the stimulus response pattern of conditioned behavior. His theories are rooted in only on changes in observable behavior, excluding any likelihood of any processes taking place in the mind. So Skinner works has profoundly influenced psychology, education, and behavior modification, though his ideas have also faced criticism for being overly deterministic and ignoring internal cognitive processes. Skinner's 1948 book, Walden 2, is about a utopian society based on operant conditioning. Skinner also wrote Science and Human Behavior in 1953, which he pointed out how the principles of operant conditioning function in social institutions such as government, law, religion, economics, and education. So, we proceed to operant conditioning is based upon the notion that learning is a result of change and overt behavior. These are the changes in behavior in which are the results of an individual's response to events. Next is reinforcement. Reinforcement is the key element in Skinner's SR theory. A reinforcer is anything that strengthens the desired response. Next is positive reinforcer. Positive reinforcer is any stimulus that is given or added to increase the response. Example, a mother who promises her son a new phone if he gets good grades. Next is the negative reinforcer. Is any stimulus that results in the increased frequency of a response when it is withdrawn or removed. Negative reinforcer is not a punishment. Example, a teacher announced that if a student will get an average grade of 1.5 for the two grading periods will not take the final exam. Punishment is different from negative reinforcer because punishment is a consequences intended to result in reduces responses. Example, if a student is late in class, then he or she is not allowed to join a group work which had already begun. Skinner also looked into extinction or non-reinforcement responses that are not likely to be repeated. Next is shaping of behavior. An animal in a cage may take a very long time to figure out that pressing a lever will produce food in order for the behavior to accomplish. Consistent approximations of behavior are rewarded until the animal learns to pull the level on its own. So next is behavioral training. A series of steps are needed to learn so that the animal would master each step in a sequence until the entire sequence or process is learned. Reinforcement schedule. Once the behavior is accomplished, it doesn't need to be 100% in fact, and it can be maintained more successfully through what Skinner referred to as partial reinforcement schedules. Partial reinforcement schedules include interval schedules and ratio schedules. Next is the fixed interval schedules. The target response is reinforced after a fixed amount of time has passed since the last reinforcement. Example: the animal in the cage is given food, reinforcer, every 10 minutes regardless of how many it presses the lever. Variable interval schedules is similar to fixed interval schedules, but the amount of time that must pass between reinforcement varies. Example: the animal may receive food, reinforcer, through different intervals, not every 10 minutes. So, fixed ratio schedule. A fixed number of correct responses must occur before reinforcement occurs. Example: the animal will be given food every time it presses the lever 5 times. So, the variable ratio schedules, the number of correct repetitions of response for reinforcement varies. Example: the animal is given food after it presses the lever 3 times, then after 10 times, then after 4 times. The animal will not be able to predict when and how many times it must press the lever before will be given food. So, that's all. Thank you.